I started studying the science of mind in 1974. I learned about it in 72, but I started studying it in 71. And I bought this little book called The Way Out. And I have my name and the date in there. It was March 2nd, 1975 that I bought this book. And even at that time, I had begun to understand what it was that I was studying, because I underlined these passages. The heritage of good that is here for you whenever you become wise and strong enough to claim it and use it for the good of others and not for selfish ends. First, know that it is all a matter of consciousness, and that you, yourself alone, are to blame for these conditions, for you alone created them and are firmly holding them in your consciousness. Those are words, I read them. I underlined them, not all of them, but there's parts. I read the whole section rather than just the parts that I underlined. And the thing is that I had an understanding and awareness at the time of what those meant, but they were words, and they were thoughts, and they were ideas, and maybe even aspirations. And so it was, the way I know that is because I passed my practitioner exams in February of 1979, 4 years later. And it was, I think, it was either a few weeks before or a few weeks after. I went to Dr. Scott, who was my science of mind teacher and mentor. And he said, and I said to him, Dr. Scott, I know what it's all about. And he goes like, really? And I said, yeah. He says, what? And I said, it's about consciousness. And he goes like, well, yeah. He didn't say it exactly like that, but you know, that's my way of interpreting what he said. Yeah, it is. Of course, it's about consciousness. And, you know, it took me from 1975 of seeing the words, underlining and realizing their importance to the point of 1979, 4 years later, before I was like, oh, the light bulb went on. It's about consciousness. And you see, we are all like that, you know, and that's part of what he's saying. Until you have the awareness, you know, you have the words and you have the thoughts and you think, oh, I'm on the right path and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But you know what? It's not showing up in your lives, which means that we haven't really got the consciousness of it. We have the words of it. Well, we don't have the consciousness of it. And so, you know, the thing is that we have to think in terms of looking at our lives in terms of what is it that's showing up, because what's showing up is telling us what our consciousness is and what we're doing. So further on the book, he has some other ideas, but I want to ask you this. I want you to think of something that makes you happy. Now think of someone that you love. Just think about them. Now think of something that you enjoy eating. If it makes you smile, that's okay, you can smile. Think of some place that you like to go that you enjoy. Think of something you enjoy doing. And now think of somebody that you dislike. Think of something that, you know what, this is the last thing in the world I would want to do. Think of somebody you feel sorry for. Think of someone who is unlovable, and you know how they say a person who only God could love. Think of that person. They may be in your personal orbit, they may not. This is a little experiment. did you notice how you could do that, right? You could think of the happy things and you could think of the other things, right? You could think of the negative things. And so one of the things he says in the book is this is the way out of whatever condition you are. You must train yourself to stand guard continually, and he's got these in all caps. Stand guard continually at the door of your mind and to let in no thoughts or feelings that you do not want to out manifest. Now, I just manipulated your thought by telling you what to think. The world is doing that to you all the time. All the time. There's stuff coming at you all the time, and you're making decisions and judgments, and you're going, oh, I like that. No, I don't like that. This is something I want in my life. This is not something that, you know, there's a difference between discernment and judgment, okay? And we're making mostly judgments all the time, deciding, oh, that person's lovable, but that person is not. Then he goes on. He says, think this over carefully, and you will see that it is the only way. It may be hard at first, that you may not know what to admit and what to deny, but guard the door from every negative thought and feeling of whatever nature, from every thought that you know God would not like you to think. God would not like you to think that someone was unlovable, right? Okay, shake your head, yes, you know that. He says you have to keep your mind from every doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, or concern of any kind, from every tendency to criticize, judge, or condemn anybody or anything or any condition, from self-pity, jealousy, envy, irritation, unkindness, anger, hatred, etc. These will give you an idea of what are negative and ungodlike thoughts, and which you must no longer have as part of your consciousness. I want to tell you people, you could not have chosen a more difficult path to walk. Okay? This is one difficult path, okay? Why? Because you have to stand guard on your thought all the time, because life is throwing at you, this life in this world anyway, is throwing at you one negative thing after the other. Somebody's telling you, you know, they're flipping the bird when you drive, okay? That's a negative thing coming at you, all right? When you go to the grocery store and people aren't nice to you, okay? That's a negative thought that you have when you go like, well, who is she? What does she think she's doing today? How she get in that position in the first place? Okay, we're always having things come at us that say to us something you don't want to have in your life. And you know, the other part of it is that we are in the process of creating the experience that we have. Now, take this virus, for instance. None of us created this virus. None of us asked for it. A few months ago, we were living our lives, going on, you know, with whatever we were doing, quote, living our normal lives, right? And all of a sudden, somebody says, you know, we got this virus and y'all have to go stay home and stay there. And everybody said, what? I think they were so surprised that they just did it. You know, it's like, what do you mean stay home? Oh, and some of us were really happy about that. And some of us were like, no, I can't stand being home alone by myself. I can't stand being with my partner by myself. Okay, we had all these, sometimes we had positive thoughts, sometimes we had negative thoughts. But the thing is, we had thoughts, right? And they created the experience that we had. And so some of us right now are having an experience where we go like, oh my God, another week of this? Do we have to keep doing this church on Zoom? You know, and others are going like, I really like having church on Zoom, okay? Because I can stay home, I don't have to travel, okay? So, you know, the thing is that we are creating the experience. We're creating our lives as being small and constricted or large and expansive. That's our thing. And here's the wonderful thing about it. It's difficult, but you know what? Nothing is beyond our ability to change. Think about that. None of it. We don't have to, no, we don't have to live one more minute with the life that we are living if we are willing to do what he says and stand guard at your thought, at the door of your thought, and not think any negative thoughts. Question is, are you willing to do that? It's a lot of work because we have years and years and years and years of all this built up stuff, all the anger, all the hurt, all the pain, all the suffering, all the sadness, not only our own grief, but the grief of the people around us as well, that we take in and accept for ourselves. This morning in our reading, Deepak Chopra says, the goal of the path is to transform your awareness from separation to unity. In unity, we perceive only love and express only love. And we are only love. When we come from a place of what's the most loving thing to do in this situation, the negativity just goes away. It has to, because love and negativity don't go together. So we have to ask ourselves in every situation that we find ourselves, what's the most loving thing to do? What's the most loving thought I have that I can think right now? If you will just discipline yourself to do that, the negativity will just fly away. So I have a scenario for you. I really do want you to go on this trip though, okay? I realize I'm telling you what to think, but I want you to go on the trip with me, all right? Okay, so you are a young person and you have decided that you want to go on a trip. You have learned about the mountain Kilimanjaro in Africa, and you want to go visit it, you want to hike it. And you're really excited about doing this. And so you go to your parents and you say, I want to go on this hike at Kilimanjaro. And they go like, well, you want to go way over there? It's in Africa. What, you know, and you say, well, I learned about it in school. It looks like a really great thing to do. The pictures I've seen are beautiful. I really, really, really want to go. So they go like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll help you go. We'll give you everything you need. Let's go down to REI. We got hiking boots and they got a cook stove where you can cook their food. They got dehydrated food, and so that they had plenty enough food for the journey. And you have, you know, you have the first class backpack that allows you to carry everything you need. And, you know, your parents go like, you know what, you have everything you could possibly need. Here's a little tent that, you know, you can pitch just for you. And you just go on and on with this, right? And so after you have gotten all the stuff, that all your items and things that you need together, and then you go to the airport and your parents see you off and they're like, well, you take really good care of yourself. We're going to be here. We're going to be loving you and remembering you and taking, you know, good thoughts for you, you know, while you're gone. And, you know, you probably won't have a cell phone, so we won't, you know, worry about you calling us until you get back. So you say, okay. So then you go on this trip and you get to Africa and you find yourself a guide. And the guide says, I know the way up the mountain, so I will take you. So you go with the guide and you have this glorious, glorious, most beautiful, wonderful trip. And you have sunsets and sunrises that you've never seen before. They're the most magnificent thing. You just like, the beauty is just so, so magnificent. You're just captured by all of it. And and finally, you know, you think to yourself, I just can't wait till I get home, tell my parents, I feel like I've been in heaven. This is absolute heaven. It is such a beautiful, most wonderful and magnificent place that I could possibly have imagined to go. I am so glad I went. That's the journey you're on right now. That's your life journey. I'll prove it to you. Jesus in Luke says, so do not be anxious about what you will least or what you will eat or what you will drink, and let not your mind be troubled by these things. He's saying to you, don't be troubled by the things of the world. The things that you have, you have everything. You have sufficiency in order to do what you need to do. I have given you everything. God has given you everything to make your life a success. And so right now, let's see, okay, so right now, all your necessities are provided for. there is enough food, there is enough water, there's enough air, there is enough, all of the necessities that you have for life, okay? Then he goes on to say, for worldly people will seek after these things. Why do the people of the world think? Because they're not thinking out of the consciousness that says there is sufficiency. They're thinking out of the consciousness that says there is scarcity and that there is not enough. But Jesus says, your Father knows that you have need of these things, that they are necessary for you. And so he has brought you on this journey of life, giving you everything you need. What do you need? You need to be able to love. You need to be able to have the power to create the life that you want to live. You have to have the consciousness that allows you to live the life that you want to live. You have all of that. You have all of that. You are endowed with the intelligence that you need. You're endowed with all the joy that you could possibly use, the abundance that you could possibly use. All of it, all of it, all of it, it's all yours. You have come into this life with all of this stuff. And what is heaven? It's a state of consciousness. Do you see? It's a state of consciousness. He says, Jesus says, but seek the kingdom of God and all these things will be added to you. Why? Because what he's saying is what the guy in the book is saying. Just get your consciousness in the right order. Align your consciousness with love, with joy, with peace, with wisdom, with creativity, with understanding, with love, with all the good things, with the positive. Align your consciousness with that, and everything else comes to you. It is added to you automatically. Why? Because you are attracting it. Positive attracts positive. Negative attracts negative. We are living in a world that we can attract either or. So as we allow ourselves to live in a consciousness of abundance and of truth and of love and of peace, that's what we attract to ourselves. And so he says, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid, O little flock, for your Father is pleased to give you the kingdom. Your Father in heaven, your divine spirit, the spirit within you, is pleased to give you the consciousness that allows for you to have the good in this world. We should all be moving easily through the world. But we didn't learn that, did we? Nobody taught us from the time we came in. Nobody took you aside when you were like 2 or 3 years old and said, you know, this world is really about consciousness. You know, if you think good thoughts and if you're really positive, you will have such good things happen to you all your life. This whole world is about heaven and about being in heaven and enjoying your life. That's what you're supposed to do, okay? Enjoy your life. Learn to walk and talk and do all the most wonderful things you could possibly do with this life because that's what you're supposed to do. Nobody said that. No, they said, no, don't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you can't go here. No, you can't go there. No, 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 no. One negative after the other. And what happened? We got angry because we knew within ourselves that we were supposed to be love and joy and peace and all the goodness that we could possibly imagine. We came into this life knowing that that's who we were. And somebody said, no, you can't have that. And because they did not know that you could not have that. And so they stopped you from having it and you got angry and you got hurt and you just started building that anger and the hurt and the pain and the suffering and the sadness and the grief and all that stuff pounded one on top of the other. And guess what happened? You sit here today going like, when Reverend Sandra says think a negative thought, I can think a negative thought because I have negative thoughts in my subconscious and I can pull them out when I have need of them. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay? That's how life is. We have been programmed into believing something that is simply not the truth of who we are. And the reason our philosophy and our religion and our spiritual path is so hard is because the world does not know who we are. They don't recognize us. That's why we have to come to church. That's why we have to be a community, because we look around. Look at the people on the screen with you. They are all divine beings expressing God in their own way. They are each and every one a spiritual being expressing the very highest and greatest consciousness they could possibly have. And they come together today so that you can remind them. I can remind each other. We can remind each other, because I'm a part of this too. Remind each other who we are, that we are love, that we are peace, we are wisdom, we are creativity, we are love, we are abundance, we are joy, we are all that and more. Because we are divine beings. We are divine beings. We are holy, and the space we are on is holy ground. Where we live is a holy place. And when we walk around every day going, this is a holy place. I am climbing to the top of Kilimanjaro, and it is the most beautiful place I could possibly be. And that's what Jesus is telling us. He says, sell your possessions and give them as alms. Make yourselves purses which do not wear out, and a treasure in heaven that does not run short, where the thief does not come near and the moth does not destroy. Now, people they haven't understood that, because they look at that and they think it has something to do with the world. It has nothing to do with the world. Your possessions are the things you are attached to. You are attached to negative thinking. You are attached to sadness. You're attached to grief and unhappiness. And those are the things you have to let them go. You have to release them. They are no longer a part of who and what you are. Those are the things you have to give away. Give them away. Give them away. There's lots of people who will take them. I think you just need to burn them personally. And just turn them into a different energy, because the energy is it doesn't go away. So you take that negative energy and you turn it into something positive. Okay? Turn it into something good. Where your treasure is, there also is your heart. Think of the person that you love. That when you love somebody, you treasure them. That's your treasure. So learn to love the whole world. Walk out the room today and go, I love you, world. Go to the door. I love you, world. Probably you don't want to do it with your neighbors watching. They may think you kind of lost something. But who cares if you did? It's like, who doesn't like to be loved? Who doesn't want to be loved? Who is it that, you could go like, well, I'm just loving the whole world. And they'll go, yeah. Okay, you can love the whole world. And you know what you do? They're giving you negative stuff, right? So what do? You just like ignore them. Don't be attached. Don't let them become part of your possessions. Okay? Allow them to be who they are. They're at their own place in this consciousness unfolding. They may not know anything about what you're doing. They may not have any understanding that their consciousness is creating their experience in their life. Don't look at them and degrade them in any way. Don't make them unlovable. Why? Because we're all a part of the collective consciousness. Okay? They'll catch on sooner or later. Sooner or later. In this life or the next. Or however it is. I don't know. I'm not preaching reincarnation. I'm just saying sooner or later they're all going to learn. Ernest Holmes says everybody will eventually learn. And, that's pretty much the way it is. People learn what they need to learn at the time when they need to learn it. I started out, I thought I knew what consciousness was. I did not know what consciousness was. I understand it now, and I understand something else too. It's hard to change it. It's hard to change it. Why? Because we have all this other stuff. Not only do we have the stuff within us, but the world is constantly throwing stuff at us. Okay? It's always throwing stuff at us. So we're dealing with what's in us and also what's out of us. So that's why we have to start making practices of showing up at church, doing our meditation, doing our prayer work, using our affirmations, and doing all the things that we know to do to keep our consciousness clear and focused and on target. Listen to this again. I don't care how many times you listen to it. Sometimes we need to hear a lesson more than once. And I want to tell you, they say to us, the scientists who study this stuff, 10 minutes after all of this is over, y'all forgot half of what I said, at least half. Okay. So listen to it again. Listen, do your prayer work. Do whatever you need to do to stay focused. Okay. God has put me here for this moment. I have never written daily inspirations like that ever in my life. But somehow or another, God wants me to write those things right now. And guess what? The words are coming every day. If you just allow yourself to be used, you will be used in the way that's right and perfect for you. I'm being used in the way that's right and perfect for me. Do you see? That's what life is about. We are in the kingdom of heaven right now. We either recognize it or we don't. We think we're on Kilimanjaro enjoying the beautiful sights and enjoying heaven, or we're down in Death Valley having all the grief that we can possibly experience. It's our choice. And if we're in Death Valley, guess what? We have the power to get out. Okay? We have the power to get out. Let's take these thoughts and turn within. Let's close our eyes and cement them into the consciousness of love and joy, of peace, of harmony, and the fullness, the totality, and the goodness that God is as us, right here and right now in this moment. How good it is to just turn within, to just settle into the consciousness that where we know that we are one, where there is no doubt that love is all there is. What a great experience it is to us allow ourselves to simply be in the moment. To allow the Spirit of God to express itself in us and through us and as us. What a wonderful time it is to just allow ourselves to listen to our own hearts and feel the presence of the Spirit within and know that it is who and what we are, that every breath we take is God affirming itself and confirming itself in us and through us and as us. And so this day we make choices, we choose to use the power that is ours, that is given to us by the Spirit that is indwelling. It is ours today to choose and to experience and to accept the joy, the love, the peace, the wisdom, the creativity, the abundance, everything that God has given to us as part of our coming into this life form. There is nothing that we are in need of that we do not have in order to have the life that is the perfect life that we are here to live, given the choices that we have made in our life. And so I am knowing, and I speak my word now, that we are being empowered to make the changes in our life that we choose, that we have the strength and the wisdom, the willingness and the creativity to walk the path that is ours to walk, to live it with joy and peace, and know that we are experiencing the consciousness of the divine heaven that is already here with us and in us and as us. And so we experience it this day in joy and in love, in peace, in wisdom, and in creativity. There is absolutely nothing that is left out from our abundance of life and of living. And so it is with truth that I release this word, knowing it is done, knowing that each one of us is blessed as we accept this word for ourselves and know that it is expressing perfectly in our life individually and collectively as a spiritual community. And so it is. Amen.